Hello and welcome back to Channel Automation Training. My name is Casey and today I want to talk about navigating to the second menu area and where you're going to be able to customize some of your options available on your live chat for your agents, as well as starting to talk about building flows and uploading bots, all sorts of good stuff. Basically everything that isn't available on the agent account, that's what we're going to sort of outline today on part one. So first and foremost, you're used to seeing this area here. This is the dashboard. This is what admins are going to be looking at when they first log in. One of the things that you can check is you can go here to Analytics, and this is going to give you an overview of your agent's activities. These are the analytics that we have set up. You can change it from last 30 days, this week, last week, this month. We're working on also adding in a custom option and a yesterday option. We also have all of these things laid out here so you can see how many messages were sent, how many messages were received, all these new users coming in. So this is a really good overview of everything happening within your channel. Now, this isn't the only thing that you can look at, which is the overall analytics. You could also look at the agent analytics. This is going to be people acting within your account, and it's going to show also your most active agent responding and staying on track, which in this case, just because I use the admin account the most, is me. This shows how many messages are sent, how many conversations have been marked as done, and all the members that are engaged on this channel. It also shows stats specifically for your agents in terms of messages sent, bots replied, and conversations that have happened. Between the two, it's a pretty good overall representation of what is happening on your channel automation workspace. So we are going to be adding in more details as time goes on. If you want to get more detailed breakdowns, you can go to your bots and look at it channel by channel to find out which items or which territories are working the best for you. This will be great for tracking KPIs. Next area I want to show you going to be found by going to all bots. This is going to be your selection of markets or territories, however you have it segmented out, your omnichannel. This is going to be where you can look and program individual flows. I'm just going to go over here to our main channel and click Open Flow. And this is going to bring me over to what I call the second menu area specifically for admins. So the first thing you're going to see is sort of the default main flow layout here. Unless you are already thinking about programming flows, you can pretty much ignore this area. We don't usually build our flows on the main flow spot. Just in case something gets bumped, we don't want to accidentally have somebody edit things too easily over here. What you're going to want to pay attention to is this part on the left, which is going to go into where you can click on flows and see an outline of all of the different items that we have built folder by folder. We have loose items down here, which are mostly just tests, very simple individual tests, as well as our demos. If you go into any of these, let's say that you want to take a look at what you set up for a convention demo, you can click on that and see everything related to that convention demo here. Clicking root folder will bring you back to the area where you can select the individual flows. If you already know what you're looking for, let's say, oh, I really want to find the flow related to like MailCon, right? That's like a convention we went to. If you look it up, you can also find it that way. By simply clicking open, you can take a look at that flow and how it is laid out here. I know this looks like a bunch of different octopuses all lined up in one place. I'm not going to teach you how to program this whole thing during this session, but that is how you are able to open and look into flows. Next part is going to be talking about essentially all the items at the bottom here, automation, contacts, tools, and broadcasts. Before I get into that, I just want to let you know that this is an area where you can go to live chat and you can go back and take a look at what's happening in live chat. I'm not going to click on that since we already kind of covered live chat, so we're not going to go into that too much. But this bot user area is important because this is where you're going to be adding in new users manually if you want to add in new users manually, or you can look by tags to find a particular group of users. So there's going to be a lot to cover in this bot user section. I'm going to be making this its own tutorial going through all the parts here. You also have this board area here. Even though it looks like the traditional board layout, you have the option over here to actually edit your board. So you can add new board headers on the top, and you can add in columns that are related to that board underneath. So while you're building out your board section to best reflect how your business is run, this is going to be the area you can do that. Next area over here is message logs. This is just a good idea of how to check what has happened to and from, and it says where messages are going in and out. And you can also do start and end dates to kind of see how many messages are going in and out per day. And in case you are under the impression that maybe one of your flows is not deploying properly, this is a good way that you can check that. Automation over here is going to be very useful. Mostly it's going to be for people who are in the programming side. So to start, this is going to be where our team is going to be taking the helm on a lot of the way that your channel is set up. But if you notice, this is how a lot of your keywords are triggered. So keywords meaning that if we have demoed a flow to you, very likely what we've done is we're like, hey, type in this word, like admin, no spam, type in this word to this phone number, and this will start a flow for you. This is how we would set that up right here. And we even have more than just what's showing on this page. You can also turn keywords on and off, depending on if you have repeat words or if you want to make sure that nothing is being deployed in the future. Sequences are going to be things that you would build to send out multiple days in a row. Anybody can kind of set up a flow that essentially is like, okay, when this happens, send out this one message or send out these two messages. And then maybe an hour later, do this item, right? The sequences are actually built to set out things that go further than that. So this would be something where maybe like after 5 minutes, you're going to be sending an email, but after a day, you're going to be sending out a different flow that does a whole set of different things. And then maybe after 2 days, you're doing a different flow that does a whole nother set of things. So this is a really good area, sequences here. And this is going to be its own walkthrough tutorial area as well. Or you can build out your campaigns for months at a time where you don't need to worry about sending out messages or following up with certain individual flows. It's going to be where all of your long-term automation takes place. It's a very good tool to utilize. Over here, we have contents, and this is where you're going to be mostly customizing your tags and your user fields. When you're talking about individual customization that happens while you're typing a message, I've reviewed in our past tutorials where you can put in that little dynamic tool that says first name when you click that bracket on the side. I think they're called carets, like caret /caret going the opposite way. That is where you're going to be able to pull up those individual fields that pull information from contact cards. And so you can control those dynamic fields from this section here. We have a whole lot of dynamic fields. This is especially useful if you're trying to pull in product information or information from your CRM, specifically to be displayed to people. This is where you can build that out. A little bit easier to explain and understand in a nutshell are tags. And so when we were talking about tagging before being a result or a disposition of a conversation where you're saying, okay, well, this person is completed. They said, do not call. I'm going to mark it as DNC. This is where you would put in that DNC tag, right? So you have the do not contact tag. And so any kind of result of a conversation, this is where you should be putting it in this tag section. Now, the only thing that you're going to have to keep in mind is our team utilizes tags for marketing purposes as well. And so besides your call center accessing tags that might say defer for 1 month or set appointment or something like that, we also may be utilizing tags that say DNC list, or maybe one that says booked appointment for past month, because you want to send it to a particular list. Everybody who is marked onto that list, you want to send them a particular set of marketing materials. Before removing any of these tags, I do caution you that we do utilize these tags on our end on channel automation in order to mark potential marketing opportunities for the future. So like, let's say, for example, you're like, man, I already have been getting incoming leads sending things from channel automation. So every time I get a lead from my web form, it goes into channel automation, it gets the messaging I want to send. But I'd really, really like it if all of my leads before I started working with channel automation also got sent this message. We might upload that list from your CRM manually using the bot user area and then add a tag in here that might say something like data leads 2020 or data leads 2022 or something like demo no sale leads. We utilize this both for marketing and resulting. In the future, these two areas may be segmented. I just wanted to caution you when you're going through and adding new tags, there is both marketing and result tags in here, and I would just run it by us first if you're planning on removing anything that you don't recognize right away. All right, so nodes. Nodes is something that likely our team is going to be utilizing more than yours, which is essentially when there are items that are attached to flows that cause a different action to happen. Those are all documented in this area. So for example, if you see on, this is a flow, what it's showing right here, it's like, okay, so this flow is attached to a condition, and the condition would be an individual node. The condition might say, if this person presses 1, send them this message. So that's a list of all the nodes that we have associated with this channel all in one place. You can open those nodes and take a look at them if you're curious what one of the things mean. Now for tools, this is going to be, we're going to be connecting your external systems for the most part. And so we do have error logs as well. So anytime there is something that doesn't get delivered, the system records that over here. Let's say that you try to send a message at 10 o'clock at night, or the system is automatically sent to send a message where it's not within the associated business hours that we have programmed into your workspace settings, then this would be where it would say, okay, well, you tried to send this outside of hours, so we stopped that from happening. This is one of the areas where our system catches a lot of potential issues that would fall outside of texting guidelines. And so if you're curious what your errors are, like this one, for example, part of this flow was that we sent them an email, but they didn't have an email address attached to their contact card. So they're like, yep, we couldn't send the email because they didn't have an email address on here, which totally makes sense. So we're going to skip over testers, multiple languages. Shortcuts is going to be where you want to pay attention in this area. This is going to be sort of what I showed you on the front end for live chat, where you could put in pre-written messages, or what you would call a canned response. And so this is how you could put control over your agents, where maybe they're running into a situation where it's like, oh, they need to write out all of the appointment confirmation, or they need to write in a rebuttal for this particular situation. You could do like a rebuttal 1, rebuttal 2, rebuttal 3, and have those all listed out as shortcuts, so you're empowering your team to answer inquiry on live chat that may have been something they weren't able to answer in the past without a manager. Now you can have those manager responses recorded as shortcuts, and so you would just add a new shortcut here and keep going down the line in terms of how many canned responses that you want to have your call center access. We have some clients that have hundreds, and then we have other clients that only have like 5 to 10. And so that's totally up to you how you want to have those set up. Now your inbound webhooks are going to be all of the different items that are attached to external systems. So this is where the integration of omnichannel, channel automation stuff all comes into play. For example, if you wanted to have like a Facebook chat hooked up, or if you wanted to have webhooks from your web chats hooked up, or different contact us forms, all of those webhooks would be located right here. I encourage you, unless you have an idea of how webhooks and API connections work, not to touch this area. However, this is going to be where they're all stored. And if you're wondering, like, for example, hey, it looks like this might not be connected, or you're not sure if something is connected, you can actually check here and see, oh, okay, looks like this form is connected to a flow, but this one has a blank. You know, this looks like we're going to be doing a callback request, but there's nothing attached to it. You can bring that up to our team and be like, hey, it looks like this is partway set up. When is this going to be completed? It's going to kind of empower you to help problem solve on your system. We also have broadcasts right here. This is going to be a manual one single launch that you would be sending out to multiple groups of people. For example, had like 113 people that we set out a series of messages to. And so when you're trying to launch a sequence, or you're trying to launch that are going to be going out to multiple people, usually it is based off of a manual upload of new users or new leads that you pulled out of your CRM. This is where you would be launching those broadcasts. This is going to be a whole training session in itself again, because launching broadcasts have multiple parts and things to look out for, and I will go over that with you. Settings are pretty straightforward, but one of the items I wanted to bring to your attention, and this is something that we are going to be checking with you when we are onboarding you, if we haven't already gone through this part, is going to be your telemarketing hours. Now, this is going to be where our system is going to determine what is your start and your end time, where you are legally allowed to send out text messages. Again, it is within 24-hour time. And so, for example, if you can only send out text messages in your state, in your country, from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., you would select that on here for Monday, and then the 8 p.m. would be in 24-hour time. And you would do that all the way down the list, because some people have different hours on Saturday, some people have different hours on Sunday, or maybe they don't want to send text messages on Sunday. This is based off of whatever time zone that you have set up on your workspace. And so if you notice that the system is not allowing you to send out a message, maybe you're in the East Coast of the United States and you're trying to send, you're like an international company or a national company, and you're trying to send a message out to the West Coast in the morning, and then the message isn't sending through, and you're like, what's going on? It may be that the system is stopping you, saying, hey, it might be 9 a.m. where you are, but over in the West Coast of the United States, it's way too early in the morning to be sending people text messages, and the system will stop those from being sent out. The telemarketing hours, it's extremely important to make sure that these are set up correctly, so that way we are being compliant within where we are able to send out text blasts to people. This is going to be all of your live chat settings. And so you can take a look through here on your own time and look through different features. We have this set up pretty well for everybody to start with. So likely you're not going to be touching this area, but this is where the basic live chat area settings are. Team goes through. So I just wanted to give you a layout of this second menu here. Like I said, there's going to be a whole lot of breakouts to go in through the admin space, and I'm really excited to go through and teach you each one of those individually. But yep, that's what every item where you need to find it on the menus are located, and I will see you for the next training session.